Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Speaker Spotlight. Today, we have Jessica Breitenfeld, who is a speaker, a trainer, and an adaptability practitioner. You have no idea who that is? Well, let's let's see. Jessica, hi there.
Hey, we'll find out, right? Who I am,
Yes,
what I
so
do. Da, da, da.
exactly. So tell us, what is it that you do?
Adaptability was pretty much unheard of. The quotient of being adaptable, right? Adaptable intelligence. Until COVID came, nobody even thought of it. And then kapow, we had to deal with stuff that we didn't want to deal with. And we realized we weren't very resilient. We weren't very agile. And we didn't know what to do when we had very stressful situations. Like me, I never faced anything so challenging, right? 4 years of building a business, very tough, cried a lot. And we found out that you can measure adaptability, and there are things you can do to improve it. So there's 5 things that make up adaptability, and 3 of those I train. The other 2, life kind of teaches you. And if you have those, well, life becomes a breeze, more or easier at least.
Hmm, very interesting. Well, now I can't but ask you, so what are those 5 things?
Well, the AQAI, they have created a test to assess how adaptable you are. And so they look at, well, the 3 things that trainings can do and humans and coaches can do is unlearn, mental flexibility, and mindset. Plus, what life teaches you is resilience and grit, and maybe the gym. So those 5 combined make up if you are an adaptable person with skills. You can also be born more adaptable than other people. You have people that think like this and people that look at the world like this when there's a problem, right? So most people are born with certain adaptability levels and less. Those you can't change because you can't change where you came from in your DNA yet. So what we focus are on those 3 skills that you can actually learn to make your life easier.
Wow, that is so interesting. So first of all, some people have a natural advantage. And
Yeah.
secondly, those who have a disadvantage, they can learn those skills and get better. Is that right?
Yeah, they'll never compete with the naturally adapted people, but at least their lives will be better than they were last week.
Okay, no, that's also good. Okay. So in the leadership context, what does it mean to be adaptable, to learn the adaptability skills? Like what kind of difference could it make for a leader?
Yeah, adaptability intelligence, it's one of the 12 emotional intelligences, made famous. And I believe, and my colleagues who work on this and train this, we believe that there are 12 emotional intelligences. Okay, great. You can be empathetic, you can be a great leader, you can be a great counselor, but if you don't know when to do that stuff, and if you're going in the wrong way and people are following you, then you're in trouble. So we believe that adaptability, looking at a situation with mental flexibility, is of utmost importance to a leader because they have tons of decisions ahead of them. And if you aren't able to make decisions with clarity, with confidence, trusting your intuition, not regretting for the next 25 years that you said, I do, right? If you cannot live with making those decisions and you don't know where to turn, then you're going to be leading in the wrong direction. So mental flexibility is huge for dealing with difficulties, which I hear these leaders have every day.
Okay. So it's tightly related to decision making as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so mental flexibility, the definition is ability to make a decision between 2 of equal possibilities for making a decision. So not just this way, my way or the highway. Okay, there are 2 really good options here. How do you do it? Indecisiveness, you can't lead if you're indecisive. You can think about your decisions first and ask the team and do that, but in the end, you do have to make decisions. So that ability to not live with FOMO, fear of missing out, right, is a
very interesting. So can you give us some example or maybe a story from when adaptability really helped at the workplace, or other way around, maybe lack of adaptability just ruined the whole project?
Kodak.
Yeah.
That's the famous LinkedIn example of like adapt or die, adapt or go bankrupt, because if you're using any kind of AI or technology or digital tools, you have to be up to date on that. Like I'm going to say every week, every day. If you don't, I don't know. I hate technology actually. So I'm a human trainer, not anything to do with tech. But if you're not up to date, if you're not doing or copying or leading what's happening in your industry, you will fall behind. China, I was there 2 weeks ago. Mind blowing how China, I'd never been there before, but we had heard stuff as we were kids 20, 30 years ago. It's a different world now. They are leaders in technology and ways of thinking and how to treat people. It is absolutely stunning how they adapted. And then I think about Canada, where I'm from. Life is pretty much the same as it was 25 years ago. The schooling system, the healthcare system, the politics, equality, nothing really has changed so much, right? We're not adapting. We had a pretty good life to start with. So if you're in a cushy company where things are going well, you're making good profits, everything's kind of good, you can sit back, relax in your yacht, things are going good, why would you adapt if you're doing well? But that's not going to last very long, unfortunately, unless you're in a monopoly or you're in a dictatorship, and then they don't need to adapt. But anyone else will need to adapt, and if they don't, well, they just won't have their yacht anymore, and they might live under a bridge.
And then China will have all the yachts.
Yes, and they will sail around our bridges laughing at us.
Okay, all right. No, that's a good example. And do you have any personal stories where you found the adaptability skills really helped you?
Yeah, as I said, we train the three: mental flexibility, mindset, and unlearn. And the grit and the perseverance of the resilience, I had to learn by myself during difficult times in COVID. And I look at myself, who I was 4 years ago. I was a crying, pathetic, middle-class, entitled mess. I was pretty happy and I had a great life, but zero resilience. Just like, oh, the popcorn machine's broken. Like, just ridiculous. And then hardship and almost bankruptcy and broken bones with my partner and not being able to live where we were, no electricity, like disaster after disaster. Every week in COVID for 3 years, we would have a new disaster every week. And I started to stop crying. I started to look for solutions. I started to think positively about what could happen. And I started to make decisions without the fear. So this is like grit and resilience. You have to learn this stuff to not break down every time there's a big problem, right? So personally, I know you can definitely become more adaptable in a short amount of time if you put yourself in difficult situations where you have to learn how to survive. And white middle-class girls from small town Canada, life is so beautiful and easy. Like I was in Nigeria. Those people know resilience. My God, those people should be teaching grit, right? If you come from a hard background where you've had struggles, you are extremely adaptable. You go to a middle-class family, they cry about popcorn machines, right? So there's a huge difference. Depends what kind of leader you are. If you know how to deal with good, bad stuff, you'll survive. If you don't, and you go neurotic, you're done. Your good people will quit on you. It's just, you cannot deal badly with innovation and the future anymore. No one will have it anymore.
Wow. So this just feels so counterintuitive. So in order to be so basically, even if your life is amazing and you have everything, you need to put yourself in difficult situations so that when they arise in future, you become better. I mean, it's not counterintuitive in a sense of like how you build the skills, but it's counterintuitive. Like, why would you ever find a challenging situation intentionally when life is good? But yeah.
Because as the Buddha says, this too will pass. Nothing is guaranteed to stay good. And people who had good lives, like Canadians, suffered the second highest mental illness. I don't know what it's called, the mental illness statistics. People went bad during COVID because we in Canada, we're not used to difficulties. Almost everything is handed to us. Almost everyone's middle working class. There's very few problems. We don't have the slavery problems of the USA. We don't have South America very close. We're like an island. We control who comes in and out. We have a low corruption thing. Schools are good. Healthcare is good. Like everything is so good. It's like Sweden. And then when you throw difficulty into our cup of tea, we freak out because we don't know how to deal with it. And that leads to depression. That leads to doubting yourself. That leads to being a very difficult person because you don't have the character to deal with real life. And so if you don't have the character to deal with real life, life is going to be a pile of crap to you. So I say, put your kids in and don't give them everything. Right? Because they're going to turn out to be big wimpy kids. I don't know how that applies in the professional world, but.
Oh, wow. Does that apply to employees by any chance in your team? Don't give them everything so they don't become wimpy.
The whole, this is the thing. It's more about the leadership stuff because you can't control who you hire. But the only people who are going to survive in difficulties and not get burnt out are people who are adaptable. Innovative, adaptive people will survive and they'll stay with your company if your company culture is adaptive and not wimpy. Why would someone with talent that has tons of other places to work stay with you if you're toxic, non-adaptable, and not going towards an innovative future? You will lose your talent. If you lose your talent, you can't compete. If you can't compete, you live under a bridge. You must have an adaptable culture. And that's based on, well, these 5 characters. There's more, but for the focus of individual leadership, it's those 5.
That's very interesting. So for me as a leader, the lesson I'm getting from this is during interviews, when I'm looking at potential talent, I should, if they say that they come from a difficult background, that they share some even personal stories not related to business where they overcame through big challenges, I should see that as a good sign. Like, okay, so this person knows how to deal with problems, and at my company they will be able to do well as well in case a crisis comes. Yeah,
you hearing yourself say it, doesn't it make sense?
Yeah, a lot of sense. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. I grew up way too weak. Man, oh man. And I don't wish that on anyone, actually. Having a beautiful, beautiful childhood is wonderful, but life inevitably will give you difficulties and economic problems and health problems, and your children will have issues in school. And if you don't know how to deal with those things without stressing out or turning to alcohol or drugs or terrible addictions or becoming toxic or becoming depressed, you can't deal with life. We must learn resilience and grit and hope. Hope is one of those ones that you're born with. We measure people's level of hope.
Positive You're born with hope?
Yeah.
Some people have more hope than the others, and it's just genetic?
Yeah. Well, the normal world calls it glass half full, glass half empty, like positive outlook, right? But we've found out that without hope, nothing ever changes, because as a therapist, I have lots of women come to me and say, why would I leave this boyfriend? There's no better ones. And I'm like, you've never met a guy that treats you well, doesn't lie to you, doesn't cheat on you? No, they're all the same. My brother was like that. My dad was like that. Oh, okay. So if there's no hope, they will never leave that toxic relationship. So if there's no hope, nothing ever changes. The only thing that makes this world keep going is hope. And so people who have more hope in their lives are going for bigger dreams because they actually believe it's possible, even if it seems so, so far away. So we have to build hope in the young people. We have to build hope in the employees. We have to have a leader who has hope. Without hope, what the hell are you doing there for? Just praying to whoever you pray to that it's going to turn out better? Okay, that's faith, but faith is blind. Hope actually has a little bit of proof in something that will go well. It's more sustainable. I sound like a preacher. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. So we need to teach hope. Good. Okay. And what about you, Jessica? So you said you developed the adaptability mindset. And so let's say an unexpected challenge comes to you right now. Like, I don't know, your electricity turns off, which you said is very possible. Like, what would be your first thoughts? Not necessarily to electricity, like how would you deal with it in your mind? Like, something really unexpected and bad just happened.
Yeah. So there are 3 steps to adaptability. So that's the perfect timing. And I propose that if you go through these 3 steps honestly with yourself every time there's a problem, you can deal with it in a much more adaptable, fluid, less stressful way. And they're very hard because the first one is the most, I'll do a pop quiz with you. What is the most important skill that every relationship needs, that you need with yourself, that without this, nothing ever changes, and it begins with an L?
Love.
Oh, you little hippie. Cute. Before love can ever happen, how do you know that someone loves you? Starts with an L. They
Listen.
Yes. Yeah. Listen is the first step to adaptability, and it's listening to yourself, what you're feeling, and not negating what you're feeling in the situation. You're allowed to be pissed off that your house is flooding. You don't deny that like a psychopath that pretends that everything is okay. No, you listen, and then you listen to the other person, and you listen to the reality of the situation. You cannot stop the floods in Valencia. I'm a couple hours away from there, and it rained a lot this morning, and I got a little bit scared. So first you need to listen, and then the second step starts with an A. Do you want to keep playing the fun game?
Adapt.
Those are the 3 steps of adaptability. So first you listen.
Answer?
Before you answer, you have to
understand. No, that's that's bad English. I don't know. You tell me.
You're Buddhist. I have heard the reality, and I
accept, probably.
Yes. Yes. You must accept what you don't like. You can't fight the rain. La 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 doesn't exist. La la la, I need to lose 20 kilos. La la la, my life is great. No, if it's not, it's not. You must accept the reality before you can solve the problem. And then the last step is build, just for fun and time purposes. So build means you now have heard the reality. You have accepted the reality. Maybe you don't like it or you do. And now you can create a goal towards where you're heading. And now you can build, and you can grab the people that you need to build, and you can choose who to build with. But until you, like Alcoholics Anonymous, do you know what they say every time they sit down in a circle? Hi, my name is Jessica, and I am a donut addict. Yeah, they accept their reality. Nobody wants to be an alcoholic. No, nobody ever wants to. Nobody wants to say that out loud. No one wants to admit it. But only when they accept it can they start to build the 12 steps to get to resolving their problem. It's really important that when you're on a conflictive team, or you're with someone that you don't want to work with, you don't like their religion, their worldviews, you don't like what their lunch smells like, but you're on a team with them and you have to go towards a goal with them, you must accept that. So there's this collaboration that has to happen. Collaboration, you're able to build together. If you don't collaborate and they're trying to collaborate with you, they're doing it alone. So there's also words that you can practice so that you collaborate better, and that you create psychological safety on the team you like or you don't like, that you've chosen to be on, or you need to because you need to pay the rent. Right. So then now there's little steps that will help you with those 3 steps.
Okay, so that's most useful. So to put this in context, let's say what could happen. So we're in the middle of a very busy project as a team, and then
you cough.
So we are in the middle of the busy project as a team, an incredibly important project. The deadline is coming, let's say in 2 weeks' time, and then the key person drops out, just disappears from the face of the earth. They're not dead, but like they're not responding. They just completely disappeared. As a leader, I am freaking out. What should I be doing, Jessica? So let's go step by step.
Well, the first one is you're freaking out, and you're allowed to freak out.
Okay.
So, okay. Your team is freaking out. Your client is freaking out. Everyone is freaking out. Okay. You've got that. You've accepted the consequences of not having this person anymore. Whose, I don't want to say whose fault is it? Do they have a contract, a legal obligation? Can you work around that? Can you collect all the information so that you have reality very clear? And because now you need to solve this problem. And if you don't, if it wasn't treated well, if you didn't do the contract properly, if the client was given a deadline that was too early that you knew you couldn't get to, then there are going to be terrible consequences that you're going to have to accept and build on, or lose the client and lose your work and get gray hair. So I think it's a real step of like being very clear on what the reality is and then looking at your options. Okay, this is not so brain surgery-ish, but your options are going to now be a lot clearer because you haven't blamed people. You just have facts in front of you that you don't really like to admit, probably, or you don't like to see.
Yeah.
Then there's a trick that creates psychological safety on teams. Do you know the two components that Google found out? Do you know Google Aristotle project?
No.
Do you want to hear? It's
Sure.
so cool. Okay, so this goes into play a little bit into this and the two words that I'm going to share with you. So Google Aristotle was the project to find out why some teams in Google thrive and other teams are wah, wah, wah. Oh, darn it. My phone's way over there. Should I pause for a second?
Just go
get it. It's because there's rain, and so there's emergency things.
It's all right. So tell me about the Google project from the beginning, please.
Google Aristotle project, they tried to find out why some teams thrive and other teams are wah, wah, wah. So they thought, okay, is it because all of them come from the same neighborhood? All of them are this type of person. All of them eat the same thing for lunch. Is it because they play foosball together? Is it because they have this degree together? What is it why that team is so amazing and that group of exactly the same educated people don't? And they couldn't find out. They gave up on the project because they couldn't figure out why some teams are great and other teams aren't. Then they looked into psychological safety by Amy Edmondson. And psychological safety is based on two. Oh my God, he's so annoying. I'm sorry. I have to because, hola. ¿Sí? No, estamos bien.
So they looked at psychological safety.
Amy Edmondson has found out what psychological safe teams have. And psychological safety teams have two things, only two. And they're so huge and so obvious. And if you have any good relationships in your life, you would know without her research that these are true. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one is equal speaking time. Teams like this are not psychologically safe because the old white guy at the top talks more than these people. So you need to have equal speaking time. Secondly, you need to have empathy, plain, simple human empathy. And so if you have equal speaking time and empathy, there is a good feeling on the team. People trust each other. They forgive each other for their bad days. And so you have a team that is real, right? They accept the flaws, they accept the mistakes, and they go towards innovation, and they forgive each other, and they also have the space to say stupid ideas without the fear of getting fired. So that's what they realized was the reason that those Google teams are thriving, was because they had psychological safety created by these two things. However they created them, that was up for the team to do, but they had them. Thus, this would be, I guess, the way that if a team has it, a team can deal with their problems a lot better and try and brainstorm out of disaster mode. I say, from every 20,000 stupid ideas comes one good idea. So if your team is able to share their stupid ideas with a yes and attitude, yes, that is a stupid idea. And if you can find some proof that it's worked in other countries or companies, let's bring it to the meeting tomorrow. right? It doesn't mean accepting stupid ideas. It doesn't mean accepting bad behavior. It means you accept what that person has offered and you dive into more to try and build on that idea. Or maybe you kill that idea, but not without hearing it, right? Step 2.
Mm-hmm.
So creating a yes and culture is probably the most important part of this adaptability intelligence.
Oh, interesting. So, Jessica, you will be attending our Skillsme Leadership Summit and leading a
Woo-hoo.
session there, right?
Woo-hoo.
What will you be doing there in the session? What will people learn from the session?
Well, they will learn how to be happier because what did we say? Happiness is related to not stressing the crap out when problems come your way. So I can pretty much guarantee, and the Buddha can guarantee, that problems will come your way if you're a normal human. And thus, if you can learn these 3 steps, we're going to go through the exercises. We're going to go into the lab, the LAB, and you guys are going to be doing those exercises with new strangers from around the world in breakout rooms and in small groups and networking on adaptability intelligence. How do we work together as a world to get the skills that we need to make sure that the future is brighter? We're going to be doing that.
That sounds amazing. So join the summit, guys, to be more happy. That's Jessica's words.
People always know.
Oh,
People want
amazing.
skills to become more proficient at what they do, to get a promotion, to be better at work so that they're happier at work, so that they're happier at home, so that they're happy. If you ask why 5 times, 99% of humans will get to the answer, because I want to be happy. So come to the Skills Summits to be happy. Cheers.
Sounds good. I'll be joining. And finally, Jessica, where can people find you? Where can people find more about you? Where can they connect with you?
Well, I live on LinkedIn. That is where I'm at, Jessica Breitenfeld. And I post nothing on my website because I'm lazy. It all goes on LinkedIn. So if you are around this part of the world in Barcelona, Spain, I'd love to meet you. And if you're around the world, I will see you at our session on adaptability, connecting to solve the problems of the world in our networking session.
Perfect. Sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much for this, Jessica. And we hope to see you all at the Skillsme Leadership Summit. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.